conference, I hope you, like I, are really proud to be in a party that selected Emily Brothers as a candidate. Absolutely cracking speech, Emily. Well done. And conference, I'm delighted to be here just to show that the gay men can do some straight talking too. At conference, people boast about this country being the mother of parliaments. But the truth is, and every single one of us knows this in this hall, that our democracy is broken. And people in this country are crying out for a new way of doing politics. Cameron had the support of just 24% of the voters in the general election, but he's pushing through policies that weren't even in his manifesto. Government ministers regularly refuse to defend their policies in public, and Prime Minister's questions, let's face it, is a complete and utter disgrace because the Prime Minister never gives a straight answer to a straight question. It's democracy, I suppose, but not as we know it. And you know, Cameron's making it far, far worse. He wraps himself in the Union flag, yet he is pushing through measures in the House of Commons that will dice the United Kingdom up into tiny little pieces, and for the first time in our history will create 2 tiers of MPs. That is wrong, and he should be ashamed of himself. Cameron puffs out his chest and goes on about the Magna Carta, but you know, in 5 years, he's appointed 3 times as many barons to the House of Lords as there were at Runnymede in 1215. He's turning the House of Lords into the second largest legislative assembly in the world. No wonder Osborne keeps on going off to China. He's got his eye on the National People's Congress as his model for Parliament. And all the while, they're making it more difficult for people to register to vote. They're changing the rules on party funding, and they're reshaping parliamentary boundaries, all with the single aim of keeping Labour permanently out of power. Conference, this vote-rigging, seat-selling, Lords-packing, council-cutting, gerrymandering government is hurting our democracy, and we will fight them every single step of the way. People are sick and tired of that kind of command and control, winner-takes-it-all politics. They see out-of-touch, self-important ministers parroting the line as if their lives or their careers depended on it, and they're crying out for something better. And the truth is, we fell for that way of doing politics too. All too often, we weren't thinking, what do I believe? What's in my heart? What do I think? But what's the line? And voters hate that. They think it's dishonest, and you know, it's the only thing that they can smell through the television screen. That's why Jeremy won. Genuine, authentic, respectful. And that's, conference, why we must change as a party. We must speak our minds, speak from the heart, for heaven's sake. We must bring the public back into the heart of our politics. And what better start can you think of than allowing 16 and 17-year-olds to vote in the EU referendum that's coming? You know, I think we've got to do our job of opposition better too. Not opposing for opposing's sake. But when the government's wrong, making sure they lose the vote. They've only got a majority of 12. And if it means that we've got to get the Scottish nationalists on board and the Welsh nationalists and the unionists and Caroline Lucas, I suppose, and the Liberal Democrats, and yes, even rebel Tories, to defeat the government, then that's what we'll do. We've already done it once this year. And by the Lord, we're going to do it again and again and again in the House of Commons and in the House of Lords. Conference, we've all heard that cynical old line that if voting ever changed anything, they'd abolished it. I bet you half of it in the room, you said it yourself as a joke sometime. But it's just not true. And this country cannot afford this party, the Labour Party, above all, to believe it. So don't listen to anyone who tells you they know the outcome of the next general election. The Tories will tell you that it's a done deal, that it's inevitable that they're going to win. But since when did we believe anything that the Tories ever say? Nothing is inevitable in politics. Surely this summer has taught us that. Against expectations, Jeremy won, and I'm told that there might be some of you out there who thought that England had a chance of winning last night. Nothing is inevitable in politics, and we should use the fire that's in our bellies to get the Tories out in 2020. And conference, don't listen either to anyone who tells you it doesn't matter if we lose or that Labour did nothing worthwhile in government. We brokered peace in Northern Ireland. We fixed the leaking roofs in our schools and hospitals. We gave kids a better start in life because of Sure Start. We introduced the national minimum wage. We trebled the arts budget. We got more people from every background participating in sport. And I'm proud that we transformed rights for lesbians and gay men, for bisexual and transgender people. That conference, that is why we can never, ever be a party of protest alone. Just look at our history. When the Amalgamated Society of Railway Servants lost the Taff Vale court case in 1901, they faced financial ruin. And what did? They didn't retreat into some huddle. They made sure that all the trade unions in this country resolved that they had to win seats in Parliament if they wanted to change the law. So hundreds of thousands of ordinary working men and women joined the Labour Party. And just 5 years later, thanks to the first Labour MPs in Parliament, the right to strike was enshrined in law. So, now that this government is waging war on union members again, we should resolve with equal determination to fight to win a majority in the House of Commons in 2020. And that means turning our backs on cynicism, not on the voters. It means really listening to the voters, crafting modern policies that go with the grain of their lives, inspiring them, captivating their imagination, and yes, making sure the sums add up. Because our task is to write a better history for our party and a better future for this country. But we can only do that if we are a strong, broad alliance. I think of it a bit as like that film that came out last year, Pride, the movie. I don't know whether you've seen it. It's where the lesbians and gays support the miners' group turn up in a Welsh valley to support the miners' cause. It was an unlikely alliance, I guess, but it worked. So, Len, join up with Tony, Angela with Peter, Liz with Jeremy, Yvette with Andy, because there is pride in a union. Pride in the union of workers by hand and by brain. Pride in all parts of our party working together. Pride in middle class and working class and every class, all campaigning together. Pride in the union of our 4 home nations. Pride in Britain taking a lead in the European Union. And we can only write a better future for our party. We can only get the Tories out if we show pride in our unity. Thank you very much, conference.